We're back with the FJ, and it's time to do a little oil change. Hey guys, it's John, aka Master of Disaster, and we are here with the 2014 Toyota FJ Cruiser. This is my wife's baby, and as you guys have seen, we've done different videos on different things on this FJ. And one of the things I want to do with you guys was an oil change, because this is a pretty unique type deal with the internal oil filter, like some of the old school Pontiacs and stuff used to have. So just wanted to cover a couple things. Forgive me with a little bit of congestion. We've been under the weather with a summer flu, which has been awesome. But anyways, so you're going to need 7 quarts. That's right, 7 quarts. This is a thirsty joker, son. OW20 is what we use, so that's what it calls for. Do not put in 5W30. Do not. It's going to shake. It's going to make you think that the whole truck is coming apart. It's just too thick for the Toyota. And how do we know? Because we took it somewhere early when we had it, and they were doing free oil changes for the vehicle. Because we purchased from them, all they had was 530, threw it in there, and the whole thing was just shaking like crazy. Lots of vibration. It is not happy if you don't put in OW20. So let's get that out there in the open from the get-go. All right, so we got a Purolator Boss filter, PBL 25609. That is the part number. These come in a kit, so depending on which kit, they do have just a regular Purolators. I generally get a little bit better than the base filters, and I'll tell you why. My wife is horrible about telling me that it's time to change the oil, and she primarily drives this. So by the time I get in there and see the maintenance light on, and I'm like, hey, how long has that been on there? Oh, I don't know, a while. That's the answer I get. So I always use AMSOIL, and I always get a better filter, because it's definitely not getting an oil change every 5,000 miles. So it's going to come with a couple O-rings, this little spout, and your filter. Okay, what you're going to need is you're going to need a 3/8 ratchet, small extension. You're going to need a 14mm socket. Is going to take the bolt off of the oil pan, and a 12mm socket to take the skid plates off, so you can access the oil filter housing. Okay, I generally take some channel locks, just so that way it can help with that. It's a plastic case, we'll show you guys here in a little bit, and then you can use a drill. If you don't use a drill, then I suggest a small extension, just because it helps you. The bolts are recessed in that skid plate, so we'll show you that here in a few. So off the get-go, I'm going to show you when we get under there, but I'm going to tell you a little bit about what's going on, so that way we're not explaining too much underneath the vehicle. The bottom of the oil filter housing is going to have a 3/8 drive spot to put the ratchet on there and loosen it. In theory, it's just supposed to loosen a disc, and it loosens it out, and that is where this small O-ring replaces. And then this spout, once you take that O-ring off, You stick this spout into place. This spout will release the oil from the oil filter housing. However, depending on how tight the housing is put on, it does have some clips on the side, which mine are gone. Thank you to the last person that did the oil change before us. But there are 2 clips that generally hold it in place, and that makes sure that you don't over tighten it. However, our clips are gone, and you know, based on how tight we get it the time before, if you go to loosen that disc, sometimes it loosens the whole housing, which to me it's fine, because I'll loosen the whole thing and just deal with the extra oil spillage from it. And this O-ring will go around that disc at the bottom, and then this O-ring actually goes in the cup that holds this filter. Okay, and again, I'm going to show you guys all that here just shortly, but I just wanted to give you kind of a rundown. It all makes sense once I get it off, but at least now you got kind of a roundabout idea of what's about to happen. So just keep up with everything. I like to keep it all in the plastic bag. That way when you get it off, you can make sure you're putting the new O-rings on there, and you don't end up with 2 O-rings in your hands trying to figure out which one was the one you just took off. Okay, so keep it together, keep it in the box, and then we'll dive under there. So I highly suggest that you always do your oil changes and stuff yourself. This is a great example why we're missing a skid plate. We've got 2 broken bolts on one skid plate, 1 broken bolt on the cover for the oil pan. And when we first got the vehicle and I climbed underneath it to inspect it, none of those issues were there. Okay, we had received a complimentary oil change when we purchased the vehicle, and then I was doing some media and marketing for a local Meineke, and in exchange they wanted to do oil change. They wanted to do a photo shoot with the FJ and stuff like that. Owners are great. Unfortunately, the young crew that was in there, one, skid plate's missing, no clue where it went to, bolts were broken, and everything was reassembled and we were not told. So again, nothing to the owner. Owner was a great person. We had a great good friend of ours, just a young kid that they don't want to get in trouble, guys, so they're gonna try to patch it up and get it out the door. That's why I say do it yourself. Okay, super easy. You don't need a ton of tools. You don't even need this. All you need is a ratchet, 2 sockets, and an extension just to make life easier. It's not really necessary. You can do it with that. It's just a little tight. So I say a small, you don't even need this length. Half of that length would be fine. So again, 14 millimeter, 12 millimeter ratchet, extension. Let's get to it. All right, so this is the little plate that you need to take off. This is the only thing you need to take off to be able to get to the bolt to drain the oil. Okay, for some reason the kids took this whole skid plate down, the front skid plate and this back skid plate. As you can see, there's a skid plate that goes from here to the transmission cross member. It's all gone. Nobody knows where the plate is. We've asked, nobody has an answer for us. Again, sucks. Now I have to, look for that skid plate. It is what it is. Also, if you guys can see, this bolt is missing. It was broken. A couple more bolts are broken as well with these skid plates, and they just put big impacts on it, hammered down on them until they broke. Just young kids, man. They gotta learn somewhere, I guess, but unfortunately ends up with your stuff. And then once you take this skid plate off, now notice it's got a funny shape to it. It only goes on one way. So this is the way it goes on. You cannot put it that way. It doesn't fit. So that's the only way it goes on. Okay, so I'll eventually remember to drill and tap that. I mean, drill it and get a extractor, knock that out so I can replace that bolt. But it's always out of sight, out of mind. And you know, there's your 14 millimeter. And again, like I said, if you've got just a straight ratchet, it's kind of recessed, so that's where that extension would be helpful. This works because it has a, you know, I've got the flexible head on it, that joint right there. So anyways, just loosen it like you would any other, and then make sure you got your catch pan, and that's that. And we'll move on to the oil filter. Now, be sure not to over tighten this joker because you don't want to strip the threads. So just get it, you know, pretty tight. I don't really want to, you know, strip it. Alright, so now the oil filter housing is underneath this skid plate right here. So this skid plate is the one that has the window to open it up to get your you know, your oil pan plug, so you can take it out and drain your oil. That doesn't need to come down. This one is the one that needs to come down, but it does have two pins here in the front. And what it allows it to do is to swing down. So if you had a lift, then essentially you wouldn't really need to take it completely off. You just take, there's 4 bolts, one here, one here, one here, and one here. However, that one's broke, that one's broke. I still have this one and this one. Funny thing is, that's the 12 millimeter. They're all supposed to be 12 millimeters. This one is an 11. Okay, so I've got an 11, yeah, an 11, 12, and 2 missing. But anyways, once you take these bolts out, it'll swing down, and then you can get to your oil filter housing. What I'm going to do, since we're on the ground, I'm going to swing it down, and I'm going to go ahead and just take it out, because they're kind of bent in a way that it allows it to swing down and hang, but you can simply just kind of, you know, lift it off and then take the whole skid plate off. So I'm going to do that real quick. Alright, and as you guys can see, I'm going to slide out a little bit, but it'll swing down, right? Okay, and from this side, you see those little tabs right there? You see how it swings on those little tabs? Alright, so essentially if it was on a lift, you could just let it hang like that. So that would work. So easy as that. We'll just take it and set it to the side. So here's our oil filter housing. Okay. And just as I said before, the 3/8 drive ratchet will go right in there. Okay. No special tools needed, just a ratchet. Okay. In theory, that metal disc is all that comes out first. Then we would put that little spigot in there. It would drain the oil from this housing, and then we can take this housing off, right? So the oil filter is inside of this housing itself. So in a perfect world, that comes off first. Put the little spout, all the oil comes out. Then when you undo this, you won't get oil all over you, and the filter will be inside. Doesn't always happen that way, but let's see what happens. And maybe, just maybe, because I'm filming with you guys, it'll work. Or for entertainment purposes, it probably won't. Nope. Yeah, let's see if sometimes you can get away with tightening it just a touch and then trying to just smack it to where you can. Nope, it's not gonna do it. So it looks like we're doing it the dirty way. Go ahead and get your pan, because it's gonna be, take my watch off too, because we're going to get a little oily. And you could probably, you know, take your channel locks and hold on to it and try to loosen it and all that other stuff. But I mean, really, I mean, once you get it loose, I'll show you guys. It's not going to be a whole lot of oil. I mean, it's enough to make a mess, but I mean, you already drained it, so it's not like you're, you know, going to get gallons. You're just going to get a little bit of oil spillage. So let's see. See, it's not really that much. I mean, it's not too bad. But there's your filter inside the housing. And then there's the O-ring. Good thing is this one's red, so we'll be able to tell the difference between the two. But if it would have came apart like it was supposed to, all that oil would have drained out of this bottom plug. So I'm going to try to go ahead and get this thing separated. It shouldn't be that bad. I mean, since we did loosen it already, it's probably not going to be too tough. I'm going to try to hold on to it. As you can see, it's been broken before. You know, somebody trying to hold on to it. Who knows? I probably did that. I don't know. But the clip, that's somewhere where the clip is supposed to be, in theory. Oh, okay. There we go. What did I tell you? Alright, so now we got it apart. I'm going to show you all the parts of this thing. Alright, there's your filter, and here's your spout and your O-ring. Okay, so one O-ring is right there. That's that one right there. Okay, now this thing, if you see it, is spring loaded. See? Okay, so this, once it's in there, you can take this spout and push it in here, and it will actually push up and releases the oil out, right? So when you put it in there, it pushes up this spring-loaded deal, and then it frees the oil to come out of the bottom there, okay? So then you just pull the joker out, and that's all she wrote. So spring-loaded. What we want to do is, as you can see right there, a cool trick, it pulls the O-ring out with it. So we got our new one, put it in place. There's no really need to tighten it here, because once I put it on there and have to tighten it down, it's going to tighten it. So, and then we'll take this one off. Good thing they're color coded. And then there should be enough oil on it, but generally what I like to do is just go ahead and rub oil all on that O-ring too, because as you can see, it actually goes in the housing and screws in, so there's going to be some friction on that O-ring as you're tightening it up. So just make sure you get it lubricated pretty well. There it is. Don't need to over tighten it. It's tight enough. Remember, it's plastic. All right, so all that's left now is resetting the maintenance required light. Okay, so this is the light that's right here on this corner, and what we're going to do is we're going to turn it on to the first position right there. And now that your accessory is on, but the vehicle's not on. Okay, and so what you're going to do is you're going to sit here and push this button, which is your trip, you know, kind of your mileage counter. You just push this button and hold it. I'm gonna try to do it to where you can still see, if you can see the maintenance required light still on. And then what you do is you turn it over and then wait 10 seconds. Now you're still holding it, and now as you can see, it's gone out. Okay, so there you go, guys. And then what you're gonna look for is make sure your oil pressure lights and everything are off. Everything looks good, so then we're just simply going to go and check the oil level and make sure, but we know, we've done it several times, 7 quarts is perfect. So we're just going to verify, which I suggest everybody do, because you never know. What if you left the bolt out? What if you didn't you know, get the bottom plug in the oil filter and some of the oil leaks out, or it could be actively leaking right now? Always check and then look underneath to make sure that there's no oil leaks or anything like that. But right now we're good to go. So let's go check this oil real quick. And your oil dipstick is right here in the front, this little yellow handle. And go ahead and pull it out, clean it off. There we go. There it is, guys. Perfect. And as you guys can see, there's 2 holes here. You don't want to overfill it, but making sure you got oil in that second hole, and that is all she wrote. We're good for another 4,500 miles before the light turns back on, but they suggest you change it every 5,000 miles. And there you have it, as easy as that. I hope this video gives you the confidence to know that you can do the maintenance on your own vehicle. You can change your own oil. If you are kind of worried about that internal oil filter situation, I hope I was able to help you understand how it works and the parts and all that good stuff. If this video helped you, please give me a thumbs up and comment below. It helps. And be sure to subscribe, as we'll have tons of FJ content, Tahoe, LS swap stuff, a lot of drag racing events, anything that has to do with motorsports or automotive. That's what this channel is for, guys. So I appreciate you guys watching. Thank you guys for subscribing and getting us over the 2,000 subscriber hump. And we look forward to some more bigger, better content coming to you soon. Thank you guys, and good luck out there.